Man, you guys got to stop what you're doing right now because the news that just dropped out of Dallas isn't just a headline, it's a full-blown emergency. I'm sitting here looking at the reports from Todd Archer and Jory Epstein, and it's official. The Dallas Cowboys have gone ahead and placed the franchise tag on George Pickens. Now look, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wait, why is he mad? George Pickens is a superstar. And yeah, on the surface, keeping a guy who just put up over 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns seems like a massive win for Dak Prescott in this offense. But I need you to lean in and look a little closer at the wreckage behind the scenes, because this isn't a win. This is a financial suicide note signed by Jerry Jones himself. Okay, so we are talking about committing nearly $30 million, $28.8 million to be exact, to one single player for one single season, while the rest of this roster is literally screaming for help. I've spent the morning digging into the actual cap numbers that just came out today, February 27th, 2026, and what I found is going to make your head spin. While everyone else is celebrating keeping the star, I'm going to show you why this move officially ends any hope for a Dallas Super Bowl run this year. We're talking about a team that's already drowning in debt, a defense that was historically bad last year under Brian Schottenheimer, and a front office that seems to have forgotten how to build a real football team. Okay, let's look at the math, because this is where the star power hype meets the cold, hard reality of the salary cap. The NFL officially announced the 2026 cap ceiling at February 27th, and it's sitting at $301.2 million. Now that sounds like a massive number, right? But for the Dallas Cowboys, it's a drop in the bucket. Before they even mentioned George Pickens' name today, Dallas was already staring at a $56 million deficit. They were dead last in the league in cap space. Now you go and slap a $28.8 million franchise tag on George Pickens. You don't need to be a math genius to see the problem here. You just added nearly $30 million of fully guaranteed, you gotta pay it now money to a team that was already $56 million in the hole. That puts the Cowboys roughly $85 million over the limit. $85 million! How do you even begin to justify that? And here is the kicker. You already have CeeDee Lamb on the books. Between his extension and the current structure, he's counting for about $34 million. Some charts even say $38 million, depending on the restructure. When you add George Pickens' tag to that, you are tying up over $60 million in just 2 players, 2 wide receivers. Look, I love an explosive offense as much as the next guy, but you cannot build a balanced championship-level roster when 20% of your entire budget is going to 2 guys catching passes. It's just irresponsible roster management. We're talking about Jerry Jones playing fantasy football while the real-world house is on fire. You have Dak Prescott's cap hit looming, you have offensive line needs, and a defense that we'll get to in a minute that is basically a sieve. But instead of fixing the foundation, they went out and bought a gold-plated chimney. You can't win like this. It's a mathematical nightmare that is going to force this team to cut veterans, restructure deals until they're in cap hell for the next decade, and ultimately field a team of rookies and league minimum guys around 2 expensive stars. It's a recipe for a 7-10 season, and frankly, Cowboys fans deserve better than this kind of all-in delusion.
But here is the thing that really gets me fired up. And honestly, it should make every single Cowboys fan want to throw their remote at the TV. We have to talk about this defense. I mean, did we all watch the same 2025 season? This unit was, and I'm not exaggerating here, a total train wreck. They allowed a franchise record 511 points. 511! That is over 30 points a game, guys. They ranked dead last, number 32 in pass defense. It was like watching a high school secondary try to guard Tyreek Hill every single week. And look, I know they just hired Christian Parker to come in and fix this mess, but what is he supposed to work with? Thoughts and prayers? Because you sure aren't giving him any players. This brings me to the absolute biggest blunder in recent memory, and it still stings to even talk about it. Last August, Jerry Jones decided to trade away Micah Parsons, the literal heartbeat of this team, to the Green Bay Packers. Why? Because of contract issues. They told us they couldn't afford to pay a generational game-wrecking talent like Micah Parsons. But now, fast forward 6 months, and suddenly the checkbook is wide open? You wouldn't pay the best defensive player in the world, but you're perfectly fine handing over that exact same money, $28.8 million, to a wide receiver who is, let's be real, the second option on this team? It's a complete insanity. You traded away your identity to save money, and then you spent that savings on a luxury item while your roof is literally caving in. Think about what that money could have done. For $28 million, you could have gone out and signed a lockdown veteran corner, a hard-hitting safety, and a middle linebacker who actually knows how to fill a gap. You could have given Christian Parker a fighting chance to turn this 32nd ranked defense into something respectable. You cannot outscore everyone in this league when your defense is giving up 30 points before the fourth quarter even starts. It's a star-chasing move that completely ignores the reality of how you actually win a Super Bowl. It's just, man, it's frustrating to watch a front office be this disconnected from the actual needs of the roster. And here is the part that really proves the Cowboys front office might be playing checkers while the rest of the NFL is playing 3D chess. They didn't just tag George Pickens, they used the non-exclusive franchise tag. Now, for those of you who aren't cap nerds, let me break down why this is a massive gamble that could blow up in Jerry Jones's face by next week. See, with a non-exclusive tag, George Pickens isn't actually locked down. He's allowed to go out and talk to other teams. He can negotiate, he can shop around, and he can basically find someone else to pay him what he thinks he's worth. So here's the nightmare scenario. Imagine a team like the Washington Commanders or the New York Giants, teams with a ton of cap space and a desperate need for a game changer, comes along and offers George Pickens a massive front-loaded 5-year deal. Suddenly, the Cowboys are backed into a corner with no good way out. It's a total lose-lose situation. If they decide not to match the offer, they let their star receiver walk away for 2 first-round draft picks. Now, sure, draft picks are nice, but you just spent all this time and energy telling the fan base that George Pickens was the missing piece. Letting him walk now is basically admitting you failed before the season even started. But if they do match that massive offer, well, then you're just digging the grave even deeper. You'd be taking a team that is already $85 million over the cap and saddling them with a long-term contract that makes it impossible to sign anyone else for the next 3 years. I mean, think about it. You'd be choosing a wide receiver over having a functional offensive line or a defense that can actually stop a nosebleed. It's like they've set a trap for themselves and they're just waiting for a divisional rival to pull the trigger. It just shows a complete lack of a clear plan. Are you all in, or are you just kind of in until someone else makes a move? It's indecisive, it's risky, and frankly, it's the kind of move that keeps a team stuck in mediocrity while the rest of the NFC East is getting better. So, when you step back and look at the whole picture, the verdict is pretty clear, and it isn't pretty. I'm telling you, without an experienced, battle-hardened defense, you just cannot win in the modern NFL. I don't care if you have Patrick Mahomes or Dak Prescott back there. If your defense is giving up touchdowns like they're handing out candy on Halloween, you're not going anywhere. And that's the fundamental problem here. You simply cannot fix a historically bad 32nd ranked defense by just crossing your fingers and hoping for a miracle in the draft. You can't ask a bunch of 21-year-old rookies to come in and save a unit that just gave up 500 points. It's not fair to them, and it's not fair to the fans. So, guys, what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comment section.